a north ender or a south ender. I'm smack in the middle of the Salt Spring Oreo. Pretty darn close to the spot where 123 years ago come spring, old Sam Bettis, his wife Emily, and their 5 kids ran the keel of their sloop onto the sandy shingle we now call Bettis Beach and stepped ashore. Stepped carefully ashore, for among their worldly goods they were carrying apple seeds from England, which they planted in front of their homestead. A century and a bit later, my partner Lynn and I managed to purchase a sliver of that 140-acre homestead. We won the lottery for life. Moving to Salt Spring is one of the very best decisions we ever made. I didn't know it at the time, but I moved here 21 years ago because of the Islands Trust. Everything I heard in that sexy siren Salt Spring song that wafted out over Fulford Harbor and lassoed a landline around my heart was directly descended from the Islands Trust mantra, preserve and protect. You probably know the story. Back in the 60s and 70s, speculators and developers hovered like buzzards over the Gulf Islands. They desecrated a swath of North Pender with magic estates. Mudge Island farmland was carved up and repurposed into suburban lots. Plans to slice and dice Bowen, Maine, and Salt Spring were in the works. And then somehow, some way, I like to think it was maybe a guardian angel, something got the government to okay the creations of the Islands Trust to preserve and protect what was left. Now me, I was living in London, Madrid, and Toronto when all this was going on, surrounded by concrete, high-rises, traffic jams, noise, smog, lineups. I didn't know where the Gulf Islands were. And then suddenly, I'm walking off the Fulford Ferry onto Salt Spring. What the hell? No Walmart, no Costco, no stoplights, no Midtown gridlock, no cupcake subdivisions, no Burger Kings, no Dairy Queens, no Tim Hortons? I was 50-some years old, and I'd arrived for the first time in my life in a place that did not worship progress. You know progress, that juggernaut that can't be stopped, that the sacred church of bigger is better, more is richer, busy is good, growth is grand, and unlimited growth is positively orgasmic. When I worked at CBC in Vancouver, I used to pass a real estate office that had a slogan over the front door that read, "Unlimited expansion increases the divide." That's a pretty good definition of progress. It is also the philosophy of the cancer cell. I don't need to tell you that we live in dangerous times. In the past year, we've seen 2 major world entities, the UK and the US, suddenly and inexplicably succumb to stupefyingly suicidal impulses. Great Britain opted to run away from home. America voted for an unhinged lunatic who, as Michael Moore so grimly warned, could get us all killed. Now, these phenomena were not the results of palace coups or army takeovers. Voters willingly chose these fates. So don't think it couldn't happen here. There are some very funny vapors in the air. I overheard a guy in the locker room at the pool say that he was voting for incorporation because he said, we need leadership that can get things done. I don't think real fast. Plus, I try never to get into a disagreement when I'm half naked with a sock in my hand. So the guy was out the door before I had a chance to say, get things done? I'm a relative newcomer, but in my time, Salt Springs created Art Spring, a marvelous library, a fabulous swimming facility, an abattoir, a bus system, an Islands Pathways network, a recycling depot, and we've protected over 5,000 acres of green space. Not bad for a dysfunctional community. Oh, and in the past 15 years, through the efforts of Gary Holman and others, we've corralled over $60 million in grants from various levels of government. It makes that chintzy $15 million carrot the province dangled to cover our road maintenance for all eternity look a little chintzy. Now, governance on Salt Spring is not perfect, Lord knows, but it can be worked on. It can be improved. Sure, the yes side says soothingly that the Islands Trust would be totally fine if Salt Spring became a municipality. Really? Read the fine print. The language they use in their own documents say that land use and land management would be administered with regard to the Islands Trust. With regards to? That does not sound like an endorsement or a commitment. That sounds like a honk and a wave. Now, I have to say that some of my friends are on the other side of this issue. I don't think that those people are mindless greedheads bent on bulldozing the island. I don't think they're evil. They are and will remain my friends. I just think they happen to be wrong. Others, well, some people, some of you here tonight are undecided, and I feel for you. Statistics are flying back and forth, and numbers, volleys and blitzkriegs of numbers. Well, you know what they say. Figures lie and liars figure. For me, it's not a question that can be answered by bar graphs or pie charts or business projections or quantitative percentages. It's about what greets me when I get off the ferry. It's what I see when I look out my door, when I shoot the guff with the cashier at Country Grocer, take a coffee with my complimentary Globe and Mail at Talia's. It's about Salt Spring, this kingdom that is so magical, it doesn't need a king. Are you unhappy here? I'm not. Would you rather Salt Spring was like somewhere else? Not me. Are you willing to risk all that we've got on a roll of the dice? I'm out. To any Salt Springers who think the island needs an overhaul, I would paraphrase Bob Dylan. You ask me why I live here? Honey, how come you don't move? I will be voting on September 9th. In fact, I'll be voting in the advance poll on August 30th because I could get hit by a truck on September 8th. And I will be voting positively, absolutely, utterly, and irretrievably no to incorporation. I hope you will too, because just look around you. Look at what you got to lose.